My name is Sarah Thompson, and I'm 38 years old. I live in a small town on the outskirts of Boston with my husband Michael and our 10-year-old daughter Emily. During the week, I teach 4th grade at the local elementary school, and on weekends, I cherish time with my family. I still vividly remember 15 years ago when I was in college. A young man sat next to me in the library while I was studying. His name was Michael. We talked about literature and hit it off right away. After that, we went on many dates and got married after graduation. Michael got a job at a local construction company, and I fulfilled my dream of becoming a teacher. When Emily was born, it felt like our happiness had reached its peak. Lately, Michael's been coming home late more often, and I'm starting to worry. But he just says, "I'm busy with work." Emily seems lonely, not seeing her father as much. Still, we're a happy family. On weekends, we have picnics in the park or watch movies together. But recently, I've started to feel that something's not quite right. Who could have imagined that an unexpected shadow was creeping into these peaceful days? On Friday afternoon, I was able to leave school earlier than usual. As I walked home, my steps felt lighter at the thought of having dinner together as a family, something we hadn't done in a while. When I arrived at the front door and unlocked it, an unnatural silence enveloped me. Usually, I'd hear the TV or Emily's laughter. "Michael? Emily?" I called out as I headed to the living room. What I saw there took my breath away. Michael and Emily were lying on the floor. "Michael! Emily!" I screamed as I rushed to them. Michael was breathing with difficulty, and Emily seemed to be having a seizure. I was on the verge of panic but took a deep breath and told myself to stay calm. I immediately called 911 and requested an ambulance. Following the operator's instructions, I checked on them. Neither was conscious, but they were barely breathing. "It's okay, Emily. Daddy's okay too. Mommy's here." I held my daughter's hand and whispered with a shaky voice. A few minutes later, I heard sirens. The paramedics arrived and quickly loaded them onto stretchers. I was allowed to ride in the ambulance. When we arrived at the hospital, Michael and Emily were immediately taken to the treatment room. I waited in the waiting room, feeling overwhelmed by anxiety and fear. Why did this happen to them? If only I had come home earlier. Such thoughts raced through my mind. After about an hour, a doctor finally appeared. "Mrs. Thompson." "Yes, that's me." "How are they?" I stood up, desperately trying to read the doctor's expression. "They're both out of immediate danger." However, the doctor paused for a moment and looked straight into my eyes. "They're showing symptoms of acute poisoning." "Did they eat or drink anything unusual?" "Poisoning? No, that's impossible." I was confused and at a loss for words. When I said goodbye to them this morning, everything seemed fine. "Mrs. Thompson, we've also contacted the police. Sometimes, symptoms like these." As the doctor's words trailed off, a terrible thought crossed my mind. Could someone have intentionally? No, that's impossible. I couldn't help but cry out. The doctor looked at me sympathetically and said quietly, "Please talk to the police when they arrive. We'll do our best to treat them." With that, the doctor left. I collapsed into a chair and covered my face with my hands. I couldn't understand what was happening. I desperately tried to recall the events of the morning. Michael left for work early, I saw Emily off to school, and then I went to work. It should have been a normal morning. But why were they showing symptoms of poisoning? And the police? My heart felt like it was being crushed by anxiety and fear. But I had to be strong for Michael and Emily. I took a deep breath and tried to regain my composure bit by bit. Tomorrow will surely be tough. But for the sake of my family, I'll overcome anything. After spending the night at the hospital, I was finally able to return home as the sun was rising. Michael and Emily's conditions were stable, but they still hadn't regained consciousness. As I opened the front door with my exhausted body, 2 police officers were standing there. "Are you Mrs. Sarah Thompson?" the tall male officer asked. "Yes, I am," I answered, confused. "We'd like to ask you a few questions about yesterday's incident," the female officer said. I invited them into the house. As we sat in the living room, the male officer began to speak. "Could you tell us in detail about yesterday's events?" I explained as accurately as possible everything from yesterday morning until I returned home. The officers listened intently, occasionally taking notes. "Mrs. Thompson, have you had any disputes with your husband or daughter?" the female officer suddenly asked. "Huh? No, nothing like that," I answered, surprised. "You see, the symptoms of your husband and daughter suggest the possibility of intentional poisoning," the male officer said quietly. At those words, my heart began to race. "Are you suspecting me?" The officers looked at each other, and the male officer carefully chose his words. "At this point, we can't rule out any possibilities. We ask for your cooperation." After that, they began to search the house. I watched their movements in a daze. Suddenly, the female officer in the kitchen called out, "There's a suspicious container here." What she held in her hand was a small bottle I didn't recognize. The label read, "Pesticide." "This. I don't know about this. It's not mine," I desperately pleaded. The officers seized the bottle as evidence and took my fingerprints. "We'll need you to wait at the station until we get the results of the comparison." Feeling dejected, I was taken to the police station. As I spent a long time in the interrogation room, various thoughts crossed my mind. Why is this happening? There's no way I would hurt my family. But that bottle. And Michael's recent behavior. The interrogator came in and sat down with a stern expression. "Mrs. Thompson, your fingerprints were found on the bottle." At those words, I felt my world crumbling. "That's impossible. I didn't touch it." "Then why were your fingerprints on it?" The interrogator's eyes pierced through me. "I don't know. I really don't know," I answered, fighting back tears. The questioning continued, but all I could do was plead my innocence. Just as fatigue and confusion were making my head fuzzy, the interrogator left the room for a moment. Alone in the room, I thought deeply. The only way out of this situation is to uncover the truth myself. But how? At that moment, a possibility crossed my mind. Could it be? Just as I had that thought, the interrogator came back into the room. "Mrs. Thompson, your bail has been granted. However, as the investigation is ongoing, please don't leave town for the time being." I left the station with mixed feelings. I must take action to uncover the truth and protect my family. As I left the police station, I was organizing my next steps in my head. To reveal the truth, I had to find evidence with my own hands. Just as I made that decision, my cell phone rang. Looking at the screen, I saw it was from my sister, Lisa. "Sarah, I heard what happened. I'm on my way there now." Lisa's voice was filled with worry. Our relationship as sisters was complicated, and we hadn't been in touch much for the past few years. Memories of past conflicts resurfaced. 10 years ago, when our parents' company was on the brink of bankruptcy, Lisa embezzled company funds for her own future. I tried to stop her, but Lisa wouldn't listen. In the end, the company went bankrupt, and our parents lost everything. Since then, our relationship had remained strained. "Lisa, you don't need to come. I can handle this on my own." "No, Sarah. You can't do this alone. There must be something I can do." Lisa's strong tone made me lose the will to argue. "All right. But I'm going to the hospital first." At the hospital, the doctor informed me that there was no significant change in Michael and Emily's conditions. As I looked at their faces in the hospital room, I couldn't stop my tears. I vowed in my heart to prove my innocence and get my family back. As I left the hospital, Lisa was waiting. "Sarah, is what the police are saying true?" I took a deep breath and answered, "No. I would never hurt my family." Lisa nodded silently. "I understand. Let's think about what we can do together." We went into a nearby cafe and started to sort out the situation. First, we needed to find out where the pesticide bottle came from. "Sarah, try to remember all your actions. Is there anything you might have overlooked?" Lisa asked with a serious look. I desperately traced my memories. Then, I suddenly realized. Come to think of it, I went to the home improvement store last Saturday. But I didn't buy any pesticides. Lisa's eyes lit up. "That's it. Maybe someone impersonated you to make the purchase." I found hope in that possibility. We immediately headed to the home improvement store. We explained the situation to the store manager and negotiated to see the surveillance camera footage. The store manager, who was initially reluctant, agreed to cooperate after seeing our desperate situation. As we checked the security camera footage, a surprising scene caught our eyes. The screen showed a woman who indeed looked very similar to me. But looking closely, the details were different. The person stopped in front of the pesticide shelf and picked up a bottle. "This is it." I couldn't help but exclaim. "But this person isn't me." Lisa was also staring intently at the screen. "Wait, this person." We looked at each other. The person looked exactly like our cousin Jenny. Could it be Jenny? I looked at Lisa in disbelief. But why would Jenny? Lisa also looked confused. We rushed to the police station and presented this new evidence. The police started a reinvestigation and began to confirm Jenny's identity and whereabouts. A few days later, we received a call from the police. They said Jenny had been arrested. The interrogation revealed shocking facts. Jenny had apparently been jealous of my life for years. A happy family, a stable job, and above all, the trust of our parents. Jenny had plotted to take all of that away. Why would Jenny go that far? I listened to the police officer's explanation while crying. However, mysteries still remain. How did Jenny enter the house and mix in the pesticide? And why were only Michael and Emily affected? The path to the truth is not over yet. But with this glimmer of hope, strength welled up in my heart. I must continue to fight to protect my family and reveal the truth. Lisa put her hand on my shoulder. "Sarah, let's get through this together. I won't leave you alone again." My sister's words filled me with warmth. It's time to overcome our past conflicts and join forces as sisters. The journey to uncover the truth continues. But I'm not alone anymore. With the bond of family and a new bond with my sister, I continue to move forward. As the police investigation progressed, Lisa and I continued to pursue the truth on our own. Even after Jenny's arrest, there were still many points that didn't make sense. One day, I noticed something odd about Lisa's behavior. Her voice trembled when we talked on the phone, and she avoided eye contact. It was clear she was hiding something. "Lisa, you know something, don't you?" I looked at my sister with a serious gaze. After a long silence, Lisa finally spoke. "Sarah, I'm so sorry." And then, a shocking truth was revealed. Jenny's plan was actually devised by Lisa. But why? I asked in disbelief. Lisa began to explain through tears. She had been jealous of my life for years. The trust from our parents, a stable job, a happy family. Lisa had plotted to take it all away. But in the very end, I lost my courage. So I asked Jenny to do it. I was at a loss for words. My heart, which had believed in the bond between sisters, was shattered into pieces. But an even more shocking fact awaited. Michael's affair and his conspiracy in this plan were revealed. Lisa continued, "Michael was just an affair partner at first. But he also wanted to hurt you." In my mind, all the recent events started to connect rapidly. Michael's late returns, his cold attitude lately. Everything started to make sense. "Emily?" I asked with a trembling voice. We didn't intend to involve Emily. But Michael. Lisa's voice trailed off. My body shook with anger and sadness. But now is not the time to be swept away by emotions. I must act calmly, for Emily's sake and for my own. Lisa, you're going to tell the police everything, right? I said quietly but firmly. Lisa nodded. Yes, I'll tell them everything. And I'll accept my punishment. We headed to the police station. Lisa's testimony revealed the full extent of the incident. Michael and Jenny were rearrested and subjected to questioning. However, this wasn't the end of everything. I still had something I needed to do. I returned to the hospital and sat beside Emily, who had regained consciousness. Emily, Mommy's here. Everything's going to be all right now. While holding my daughter's small hand, I made a firm decision. We would overcome this experience and start a new life. A few weeks later, the trial began. I stood on the witness stand and told the whole truth. Lisa, Michael, Jenny. Their actions were unforgivable, but I didn't harbor any feelings of revenge. Instead, I said to the judge, please give them appropriate punishment. However, Emily and I will begin a new life. We want to live looking forward, without being trapped by the past. After the trial, Emily and I decided to start a new life in a different town. Lisa is serving her time in prison. Sometimes, I receive letters from her. Sarah, I'm truly sorry. I finally understand your strength and kindness. I smiled as I read that letter. I believe people can change. Emily is regaining her strength day by day. Every time I see her smile, I make a vow. No matter what difficulties may await us, we can overcome them. As we ate dinner together in our new home, just Emily and me, I thought to myself, this is our new beginning. And this beginning is full of hope. A year has passed since the trial, and Emily and I have gotten used to our new life. We're living in a quiet suburban house, helping each other through each day. One day, I received a request from Lisa for a visit. I was hesitant, but with Emily's encouragement, I decided to go to the prison. Sarah, thank you for coming to see me, Lisa said with tears in her eyes. Emily said she wanted to see her aunt, I answered quietly. Lisa took a deep breath and began to speak. For the past year, I've been reflecting every day. When I think about the pain I caused you and Emily, my heart feels like it's going to break. I listened silently. Lisa continued, I'm not asking for forgiveness. But after I'm released, I want to make amends to you both. Those words spread warmth in my heart. Lisa, we're sisters. It might take time, but I believe we can walk together again. A look of relief appeared on Lisa's face. Sarah, thank you. After the visit, on my way home, I thought to myself, family bonds can sometimes be hurt and almost broken. But the power to repair them also lies within the family. A few months later, I received a letter from Michael. Sarah, Emily, I'm truly sorry. I deeply realize my own foolishness and weakness. Emily, Daddy can't come back, but I'll always love you. Emily cried as she read the letter. I hugged my daughter and said, Emily, Daddy made mistakes, but his love for you is real. Let's keep moving forward together. Emily nodded through her tears. At that moment, I felt the bond between us mother and daughter grow even stronger. Over the next few years, our lives gradually but steadily moved in a positive direction. Emily made new friends at school, and I started getting involved in the local community. After her release, Lisa moved close to us. At first, we were both hesitant, but gradually we began to rebuild our relationship as sisters. One weekend, the three of us went on a picnic. Under the blue sky, on the green grass, Emily was running around happily. "Sarah, I never thought a day like this would come," Lisa said softly. "Yes. But this is our new beginning," I answered with a smile. At that moment, Emily came running with a bouquet of flowers in her hand. "Mom, Aunt, these are for you." Lisa and I accepted the flowers from Emily. At that instant, I strongly felt the love flowing between the three of us. "Hey, Lisa," I said to my sister. "Let's keep walking this path together." Lisa nodded with tears in her eyes. "Yes, together. As a family." That evening, when we got home, Emily picked up her father's photo for the first time in a long while. "Mom, have you forgiven Dad?" I thought deeply. It might be difficult to forgive completely. But we shouldn't forget the good things about Dad either. Everyone makes mistakes. What's important is how we live afterwards. Emily nodded quietly. "I want to be strong like you, Mom." Those words brought tears to my eyes. "Emily, you're already strong enough. Let's keep getting stronger together." We hugged, enveloped in warm feelings. A new morning came. The sunlight streaming through the window seemed to herald the beginning of our new life. Overcoming the pain of the past, reaffirming family bonds, and starting to walk towards a new future. I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "Well, it's the start of a new day. May today be another happy day." Then I headed upstairs to wake Emily. Our new story has just begun. I'm truly looking forward to seeing what wonderful chapters await us.